Why are you giving me all these extra bits here, Streamlabs? I don't need you doing all of this for me. Thank you. Hello, 'tis I once again. Here we are in the shop. So we are focusing heavily. Well, heavily, I say that, and then I'm going to say we're going to start with something entirely different. So the hat is our main focus. Well, shaping the hat today is the main focus for at least this portion. And then I'm going to say the exact opposite. So we need to make that, we need to form the hat. And it is a good time of, oh goodness, I apologize for all the belches and burps and off gas. Now's a good time because it's in the middle of the day. I'm not going to feel as, damn, that one foot just cannot stay on. Did the magnets pop out again? They did. They did. Well, funny enough, as if it was telling me what we were doing, we're going to be focusing on first the foot. We need to do our hat forming for absolute and sure, but first we got to finish our foot. I got the hot glue that I needed to complete said process, and so before, of course, we are on day 16 of a practical approach to Tony Chopper, Matt is a Hatter, HeadSpace, and Kid Gloves. That's basically still all the same thing we're going to do. Don't know if we're going to get as much into HeadSpace as we did yesterday, but we might. This is the foot that we're going to be working on. I'm going to put my hat on instead. Rather have this one down there like that, that one up there like that, and this one, come on hair, get back, there we go, this one on my head. Let's Mr. Rogers these shoes and then we shall begin. I think these socks are still going to be okay, but I have tiny socks on today and tiny socks are what we needed. Oh, these bug bites are driving me absolutely off the wall. So, we're going to finish the foot, and I'm pretty confident that it shouldn't take too long. You know, fatal last words, of course. And then, after we get that done, we're going to move right on to the hat. And, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you decide, it's your pick. You got those choices, of course. We're going to have to demask, that's not what I meant to say. We're going to have to de-mic, and then we're going to, we're turning off the mic. And then because I need to mask up if we're going to be, don't scratch your bug bites, James, come on. Oh, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Imagine working on the floor and being surprised you get bug bites. So the respirator will have to be on. It is not something I want to guff around with, not in the slightest. So while I shape, I won't be talking. Well, I'll be talking. We've already established that I don't really stop talking unless I'm in a state of a mood. But so while I'm doing that, it will be quiet. It will be eerily quiet because I still have yet figured out how one successfully adds backing music to their stream. Sorry, my brain is just kind of farting out because I keep scratching my bug bites. Okie dokie. Let us begin. First and foremost, let's make some room for ourselves here. This is a HeadSpace piece. This is the hot glue gun. We need it to begin its beginnings. Do I want to use these tiny sticks? I got two different types. Well, I got a few different types of glue sticks. We'll see if these work, and if they don't end up working, we'll see what else happens. They should work. They're glue sticks. Like, how ridiculous can glue sticks actually get? Do I have a piece of drop something so that... Because we know that the glue is going to slowly start to pour itself out. And I also need to hang up the flops, get them off the ground. He's good where he's going to be. Do I want to sit on there while I'm doing this? I can't see why not. Ow, ow, stop, stop, stop scratching those damn bug bites. Okay, these don't even need to be over here right now. I was going to move our camera down to about right there, give us more of a spread in the area. We need this, we need the scissors, we need that, and come on, there has to be something I can just dab right underneath it. Okay, that's heating up. We'll let that heat up for 1 or 2 or 3 seconds. We don't need, I guess we don't really need our table in front of us right now. Pardon me, lad. Move chopper to there. Give myself a bit of backing. Lovely days. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to not, because the hand wants to absently just straight away go right down to scratching on the leg. Okay, let me see this flip here. So that's the way that we have that one going. That's the way we have this one going. So we need to do it on that side like that. Do we want to do our strip first is what we want to do. I don't even know. You know, I saved that piece of wire, I thought, because of this exact reason. But if it ain't here, it ain't here. Probably don't need our sewing machine in the direct area. Okay, this should work. Let's get ourselves a good strip cut. Is this a bigger one? I think this is a bigger one, isn't it? Definitely a little bit more tucked in as well. So we only need about that much there. Ooh. Man, magnets. Can I pull you out? Of course, you don't actually want to come out when I want you to. Oh, there we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We had 3 in this joint? Goodness gracious me. Glue. I wonder. Maybe. I think hot glue would be just as good as wood glue in there. Oh goodness, now I forgot which side it needed to be on. I assume that is our God, I don't like to assume. I don't want to make this kind of assumption. Yeah, so it should be up. It should be facing up like that. I guess the real way we could tell is if we just kind of... Oh, I am so worried now. I didn't think about that before I pulled it out. Man, that is so pure in there. Okay, okay. We have to assume that where we have some spray paint on there is where the orientation that it needs to be. We have to hope. I ain't got much else besides a bit of hope. Let's kind of try to squish him down a little bit, see if we can't figure that out. Already have hot glue tendrils going all over the place. A good start to the day. A good start. So. I'm going to do the foof. We're then going to do the hat. And then I'm hoping that is going to put me right around dinner time, which is about 6 today. It is around 3:45, correct? 3:33 right now. 3:33. Good time. So around 6:30 is when we'll put the proverbial pin in this day, but because the next step is basically just going to be more sewing and figuring that kind of stuff out, I can't see why we don't do a part 2, 3 if able, because I could basically come out and we could just keep on keeping on. We keep on brainstorming the cowl, because that though it was funny yesterday, and I still get a hoot at the pictures that I ended up taking. We have to actually figure out a true version of that so that it's actually going to work, and so that's going to take a bit of process failure, I guess. There's a better term, and I can't think of it right now. Trial and error, not process failure. Trial and error. Goodness me, trial and error. So that's going to be a big part. And then as I'm saying that, I'm also, of course, thinking on what else. Like, if we get the hat nice and shaped, do I want to go straight to the cowl, or should we start focusing on the hat more? Or like trying to get the hat done, and by that I mean, should we start cutting the fabric for the hat? The fabric for the hat is, pardon me, boy, you can stand right here, I think. I need my scissors over here. I can move you, I can move the sewing machine more that way. I can give you more space over here. Stick this foot back into your leg for you. Give you a little bit more support to stand on. And I'll just stick you there, and you can be all posed up. I still love the picture in me and him just standing there doing the Captain Morgan joint from like back in the day. That just fills me with such joy seeing that picture. It really, really, really does. Okay, come on, man. We have to be able to get this through. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to get that through. It's making me worry that it's too tight in there. Making me worry that it's a bit too tight. So, we have the ears, we have the antlers, and we have the fabric. That's what I was doing. I was moving this. So this is our hat fabric. I don't know if it's giving a good display of color in the light that we have, or that could just be the fact that my computer is tilted. But I think this is going to be a grand fabric for our hat. We'll lay that right here for now. I am tentatively worried about the sewing of it. It might be a fabric the machine doesn't like. We'll reach that point when we reach that point. No need worry about it now. Fear is the mine killer. Man, why is this not working the way that I'm wanting it to work? It almost feels like this one does not want to go all the way around like I really need it to. Like I really need it to. Okay, do we have to take the pin out of this one? We might have to take the pin out of this one. Or we do the old send something else through method. That is always a tried and true. Okay, so for the hat, we still have the antlers. I still need to get the clay for that. So even if, beyond possibility, mind, but even if we are able to get the form done tonight for the hat, or today for the hat, and let's say we even are able to go above and beyond and start getting the fabric together, there is also the ears And, oh goodness me, my hair is just decidedly against me today. There is still the ear. Come on, James, words. Facts, words. Ears are going to be made of the foam. That should be a pretty... God, again, saying things like this are just damn... You're putting yourself in a bad predicament saying that it's going to be easy. Oh my goodness. Okay. We got it through. Okay. So the ears are going to be made of foam, and then we're going to go in almost. We're going to go in basic. We're going to go in the same method that we're using right now for the fur covering on our foofs and hamps, so that it's basically just going to be me tacking down felt with hot glue. I think that is going to be our best option for the ears. There is a potential that I could sew the ears, but my sewing skills as they already are, it might not work. But it could also be a very easy shape in the sense that it would basically be a flat. So one of two ways that the ears could possibly be done. We'll take a small moment to game the ears. So we have that shape. If we put that shape on there, we could possibly just mold it down onto the ear like that. That does seem like the easiest way. However, we do have to have our opposite side of said ear. By that, what do I mean? By that, I mean the opposite side of the ear, the inside of the ear. The opposite side, the inside of the ear is going to be, honestly, instead of going to go find some white or beige fabric, I'm just going to take an old pair of socks, and we're going to use that as our inner ear material, because they're going to be white fabric, and with white fabric, you can easily, you can simply, you can stain it. Stain it? Is that the term that I want? Oh man, I totally guffed this up. Is it still going to stick? Probably not. Okay. So white fabric for the inner side of the ear. And again, it could all just be done with hot glue, and it will probably be all done with hot glue instead of me trying to sew in a nice cuff or sew it all together. There doesn't really need to be a reason to sew it all together, besides the fact that it could be done that way. It could be done that way. It doesn't need to be done that way. We already kind of talked about how the antlers are going to go. We're going to do a wire frame, or a wire core, I better said. Wire core. And then we're going to do the air foam clay around it. And then we're going to tea stain the white of the clay to match more of that choppery kind of antler color that we see him really kind of have. Am I over-worrying about this? Yes, I'm over-worrying about this. Okay. That's good there. Don't particularly need this in this area now. We need to move this back over to our drip tray. Now we got our foof covering. Let us figure out... I gave you your foot back, and now I'm stealing it once more, my man. I'm sorry. How about you just sit down for now? Yeah. So we got the parts of the hat that still need to be done, and then there's details on the hat itself that need to be done. Like I said, I kind of want to do these nice little slits on the side that we then add an extra stitch on there to kind of represent a rip in the fabric. I think that'd be really nifty. Of course, we have to do the iconic X on the top of the hat, and I've said that I could possibly do a crochet X. I have not crocheted in a very, very long time, but I think with our fabric, I think that would add a nice texture appeal to it. So that's a possibility. That is a possibility. I picked this foot out so that I could figure out where that one ended up. That's there. That ended up there. Can we go ever so slightly back? I would like an ever so slightly back. It just feels like it's not showing as much on that side. Okay. You're overthinking it, James. You're overthinking it here. Okay, I need to tighten that. Tighten that. Attack on tauten. We're going to lay down our first point, and then we are going to go that same process that we did yesterday, where we're just going to slowly lay everything down and make it look all nice. It is going to be good. It is going to be good. And so now we are going to work our way around this. We talked about the hat. We talked about the antlers, we talked about parts of the hat, we talked about the ears. Caught up on that aspect. What else? What else is going about my mind at the moment? I know there were other parts. Yes. So we have to cut a hole in the top of Chopper's fursuit to accommodate the area where our QD latch will be located. Latch mount, where our QD mount is and where we are going to be QDing the neck bit into. So instead of using that zipper area, because that would cause a lot of stress to that zipper area, and that zipper area is already stressed as it is, that will make it easier to not only plug in, plug out, but it will serve as a way to not rip the puppet any farther than it needs to be ripped, at least in that aspect. Okay, there's this and this. I think we can lay these down now. What else? So I saw that was something that still needs to be done on the puppet. Yes, also, I need to add more stuffing, I believe, to this area of the puppet. There seems to be a lot of void space up at the top, and I feel like if I add just one more possible rib of foam right across his chest, I think that will help remedy that kind of weird void space that is about it right now. Hopefully. So that's puppet stuff. Damn, the puppet is so damn real. Like, it's really so close to being ready to have, well, I was going to say that, but then the idea really does struck. So we still have to, for like the puppet part, because the hat is more headspace actor integration. For the puppet, we still need to add our rods and connecting points. They're going to be on the arms, they're going to be on the legs, and we're going to have to find a way to make it work. Well, that's bending in a fun way, ain't it? And you're just slomping today. How about we put you like this? How about we put you like this over here? Just like that. So the rods are a big next step because, of course, that's how the lad's going to be manipulated. Like, we have to have a good hold and purchase on an area inside or around, or I'm still kind of gamifying in my mind how I want to do that, because there's a few ways, and we're going to speak on the arms first. We're going to speak on the arms, and then we'll talk about the legs second. So with the arms, we have our elbow bend, we have our shoulder kind of ups and downs, we have this rotation here, and it's very, very specific to where it wants to be. Obviously, because it's wood and it has a leather musculature, we've taken parts out of that have secured the leather musculature to make it more again, I'm so sorry about the off gas. We've removed pins, so now it has a really good range of motion. But how do I control that motion as well as our wrist rotation and the wrist hinge? Is one rod attached to the wrist going to be enough? Is one rod attached to the wrist going to be a complication because it's going to want to keep popping off? Does that then mean we have to go with a 2-rod solution for the arm? How would that look? Would it be a rod at some point here or here and then one rod on the hand that we can then use for manipulation like that? Again, this is what I am gamifying in my head, or have been gamifying in my head. In my little concept picture that I drew on, which one? When was that drawn? That was drawn on the 15th is that one. I've posted it a few times. I think it's a really good representation of kind of what we are trying to pursue with the puppet. Or at least that's kind of what it was going to, that's what I wanted it to look like. That was the hopeful look of how it was going to be. It was me kneeling, crouching, however, behind the puppet, and we were then manipulating him through said limb. So yesterday I cut that right out, but I wonder if I could leave that slit in the way that it is right now. Or does it matter? Again, does it matter? Not particularly, because we already have that other fur there, so there's really no need. Yeah, I don't think we actually need that part. Okay, so we're already to the end there. So how are we going to move the arms? 2 rods. I think 2 rods are going to be it. I would have liked 1 rod to be it, but I have gone back and forth if our magnets are going to be able to withstand that amount of, I guess, what's a good word to use in this situation? Can the wrists, the magnets, support all of what is going to need to be supported to make the manipulations work? I don't believe so. I would like it to work. I just don't think my magnets are strong enough. And even if we had like beyond strong magnets, I think it would be kind of fraught because we might not have enough upward manipulation, or to get that upward manipulation we're going to have to get our arms farther out. If we have a 2-rod system where it is more so, and this is not going to work, where it's more so I have a rod here that can move the arms like this, and then I have a rod somewhere on the wrist that can then move the arm like that, that would probably be better. Again, we're still relying on a lot of that. Do we go to a 3-rod situation? Is that even possible with my own human hand? Because there's only so many things a person can fit in their hand to make it work. So if we have a 3-rod situation would kind of look like something like that, where we would end up having multiple different places in there. But then can we actually manipulate it in that way? A lot harder. I believe 2 rods is probably a much easier ability to manipulate. So we're going to reach that step when we reach that step. Also, where are the rods going to attach? Are they going to attach on the front of our arms? Are they going to attach on the inside of the arms? Are we going to do the damned thing and figure out a way to weave in maybe some fishing line inside the arm so that the attachment is ever so on the outside, so there's not a material around the outside of the fur that would cause crimping or bulging on certain parts of the fur. Again, we can't be perfect. We can't be perfect because because they are not going to want to use this puppet, or they shouldn't want to use this puppet. They got a budget, man. They got a hell of a budget, or they should have a hell of a budget after how damn well this is all being received. Thank goodness it's being so damn well received. It just puts a smile on your face as a fan. And again, I've gone in on the tirade already multiple times on how happy I am to see another fandom, another aspect of the, if you want to call it nerd culture, if you want to call it just fandom culture, the new era of what is appreciated not only by a certain sect of individuals, but subsequently by the masses. We've already kind of talked on that. Warhammer, all the other fun things that could possibly be birthed because of the success of One Piece live action. Grand, absolutely grand, absolutely grand. But again, they are going to probably want, if they do this idea, however they do this idea, they're going to have their own cats. They're going to have their own team of people. Hell, if I was them, my first thing I would do was go to Jim Henson's company. That would be me. Again, I'm kind of a sucker for the company because they worked on Farscape, they worked on Labyrinth, they did all of the Muppet stuff, they did all of Dark Crystal. A small side thought. Because I've been trying to figure out the best ways to go about manipulating the boy here, I've been watching a lot, or I've been slowly going through, I better say. I've been going through not the live stream, I've been going through the behind the scenes of Labyrinth. And it is, it's great because I love the movie. It's so fun to, like, at some point, I'm just going to end up watching Labyrinth because of this process. And then, so I've been watching a lot of the behind the scenes. I've been trying to figure out how best it will be done. And so that's been a lot of fun watching that. What I was getting to, goodness me, the meandering of my mind sometimes, I swear. When I was doing all the Jim Henson stuff, I was digging into like what they really put their hands into. I thought they were more in... I guess they were producers on Farscape is a better way to say it. And they worked on the puppet for Pilot. Pilot, what a character. I love Pilot. He's so cool. And then Rigel. They only worked on those two characters from what the blurb said. I don't know if they did the costuming or the other aliens in the show. They might have. I can't see why they wouldn't have. But then again, maybe they are just a puppet company and that's all they did. That's all they did. Pilot is an amazingly beautiful puppet, to say the least. And then we already did those. We already did that. Stop that. Stop that. Goodness me, the meandering of my mind, and then me trying. I'm not a multitasker. I think is I've been showing here quite often. I can't do something on my phone and then do something on. Or I can't keep talking. My mind kind of flutes and flats all over the place. What I was trying to say, all the Labyrinth talk and all that, is that on the Wikipedia, and trust Wikipedia as much as you want, but again, it kind of at the end of the article, the end of the Wikipedia kind of, dampered my hopes. But there has been talks for a second Labyrinth. So I'm going to get into a little bit of a tirade right now because I have been doing all of the going back and looking at it, seeing it, and it's really made me, again, very nostalgic for Labyrinth. I love the characters. I love the story. David Bowie as the Goblin King was phenomenal, to say the least. Phenomenal, to say the least. I cut way too much off on that side. And so a part of my mind, because, the mind just wants to continue to make and think up different ideas. That's kind of what the brain does. Thank gosh for the brain. The brain still. And so I was thinking, well, how would they do? And this is before I even saw that there had already been conversations about a Labyrinth 2. How would they do a Labyrinth 2? And then I was like, well, how would I do a Labyrinth 2? Like, what would be my idea? And what I kind of got down to, and I think it's a good concept, because you don't want to go too far out of the labyrinth. Like, you need to be in the labyrinth. You can't... The labyrinth is the main character of that movie. So how do you incorporate the labyrinth? Well, the Goblin King has to be dead. Unfortunately, rest him, David Bowie's no longer with us. You just have to deal with that. Okay. So what do you do? Well, if there was a Goblin King, why aren't there Goblin Princes? Or why haven't we heard of the Goblin Princes? And so the way that I would do a Labyrinth 2, if I was given the chance to write the script or the treatment to how it'd be done, my thought was, you do it in a way where you have the Goblin Princes, and they are vying for, or they have been vying for power, I think is a better way to say it. They have been vying for power since the death of Jareth. And sticking with the theme of how Labyrinth was, I think the best way to do your Goblin Princes is you do cats that are of that kind of pop star, rock star kind of nature. And so you do 3 Goblin Princes. I think 3 Goblin Princes is enough. If you do too many more, if you do 5, that's too many. You got too many subsequent plot lines, or you end up having to kill off 1 or 2 of them to then get it back down to 3. So why not just start with 3? So for the Goblin Princes, I think you do 3 different variations on your prince stereotype. You have the prince that is trying to emulate his father. You have the prince that is trying to combat his brother, who is the most likely the one trying to emulate his father, because there's a difference between wanting to be your father or wanting to take after your father, and then there's also the idea that, like, maybe you're the middle child, or maybe you're the child that didn't get the same, attention from Jareth as the Goblin King. And we don't know if Jareth himself ever had children, but for the concept, for the idea, so you have one that is trying to just be the Goblin King. You got one that is trying to one-up his brother because that's all he ever was trying to do. And then you have the one that doesn't really understand what the big deal is. Like, why does there need to be a Goblin King? But he's a Goblin Prince. He has to do something about it, right? Like, he has to be a part of it. And sticking with the theme of Labyrinth, you basically go about going about it in the same fashion as you already did in that first movie. Why Jareth stole the baby is kind of nebulous. It was because of Jennifer Connelly's character that, like, she wished for it and he granted that wish. Whether she actually wanted that wish granted or not is a whole plot point, and maybe it's a learning moment. But let's say the reason that you steal a baby, a child from the human world, is to ascend to the Goblin throne. We're writing all of our own fandom here. To ascend to the Goblin throne, there needs to be maybe that's how you get your Goblin Princes. Maybe the Goblin Princes are born from our world, and they are the only ones that have the ability to control all of the goblins that reside in and around the labyrinth. You can't have a true goblin anything, because they would tear themselves to shreds and it would always be a constant war. And so these goblin princes were probably taken from somewhere. They were the same, like in the same fashion as the baby was taken, but they were not rescued, or their rescuers never arrived at the labyrinth because they didn't want to rescue them. So on and so forth. So for our goblin prince that is trying to be the new Jareth, really truly trying to be the new Goblin King, and whether he's a good version of that, whether he's a bad version of that, we could think about it forever and all out if we so choose, but he's trying to vie for that power. I think an easy character you could put in there for it is Mr. Harry Styles. I think he would be a great driving force as that version of the Goblin Prince. He has that bravado to him. He has that like the real almost charisma that Bowie had as Jareth. And so I think Harry Styles would be a great Goblin Prince. The next one, you would, again, stay in the same vein. Like maybe you do because like the first idea, like when I say you do 3 Goblin Princes, you could easily say, oh, just do all the Jonas Brothers. But why would you do that? Why would you have all the Jonas Brothers? Because then that's a Jonas Brothers movie. But you could have one of the Jonas Brothers. That could work. You could have a character like, or a musician like Youngblood in there. You could have a person like MGK in there, because it's both it's still that bravado, but it's also that rebellious nature that you would need with the Goblin Prince that is just trying to one-up the brother that wants to be the Goblin King. Maybe he doesn't even want to be the Goblin King, but he knows he doesn't want his brother being the Goblin King. And so you have a musician like that. I think that would be perfect. The dynamic between those kind of pop punk kind of artist. I would even throw Mod Sun in there, because I'm a real big Mod Sun fan from back in the day. I even like his newer stuff. It's unfortunate that things didn't really work out with him and Avra in the way that they did. It really was unfortunate, because it was kind of cool seeing those two together. And then for your third Goblin Prince, you have, and the only one that came to my mind, and I'm pretty sure there's some other kind of it's not exactly a heartthrob of a prince, but you have the Goblin Prince that maybe when they were brought to the labyrinth, again going off of the idea that the Goblin Princes were the babies that no one wanted to save or couldn't save, what if you had one that Jareth didn't even need to steal? What if it was one that he was going to steal and he ended up just finding one, and instead of having to steal it, instead of having to have someone come try to rescue it to, build in that mythology of what the labyrinth was, he just finds this baby, and that baby ends up being the Goblin Prince that has always just enjoyed living in the labyrinth, being a part of the labyrinth. Let's say he is the good version of what you would want a ruler to be, but he never aspired to be the ruler, and he could have been in some ways absolutely devastated by the loss of his father finally, and it's never really settled well with him. That looks pretty damn good, if I do say so. Let's get ourselves a good... We're going to get ourselves a good picture here, and we can then move on to the next one. Is that leg a lot shorter or something? The pant part a lot shorter? I thought we had more material. Hey, there we go. Oh, it's kind of popping out on the bottom. That's not great. So you got your 3 Goblin Princes, and of course what they're doing is they're trying to bring a baby in to replace their brother, or to ascend themselves past the point of a princely station as they had already been. Perfect. Actually, I want to remove this out there. Oh, goodness me. Come on now. Oh, come now. And so they steal babies to do what they have to do. One steals it because he wants to be the prince. One steals it so that he can usurp his brother. And one steals it because that's what you do as a goblin prince. You have to do something. If your brothers are doing it, that means you have to do it even if you don't want to do it, or think it not necessary or wrong or whatever. You could, in some ways, reintegrate the Jennifer Connelly character back in as like maybe the baby sister that she had is all grown up and she has a daughter, and for some reason that issue occurs and it gets whisked away. That'd be a good way to reintegrate that character. And then you also have a character that already kind of is familiar with the labyrinth. So because you're going to have 3 separate parties that are going against 3 separate goblin princes. I think that's very important. And what we get to do now, because we have 3 separate parties, is we have 3 different entrances to the labyrinth. Canonically, I can't remember. I haven't watched the movie through in a very long time. I can't remember if there's only one entrance to the labyrinth, but there could be possibly multiple entrances. And you get to play it in a way where you have the Connelly character that kind of knows what she's doing, or at least knows what she's expecting. And the whole time, it almost feels like obviously she needs to win. Obviously, it's going to be her. You have the character you have the party that maybe actually goes more so in the same direction as the first movie. So it's kind of that hearkening back to where we have already been, places that we have already seen. The lying doors, the doors with the knockers in their mouths. What was another good one? The goblins on the drill, the cleaner. You could bring back the fairies, all of that fun stuff. But you also get to then approach, or you get to build in different parts of the labyrinth and really kind of explore not only that the labyrinth is a multifaceted thing, but you could also get into the exploration that the labyrinth at its heart is the Goblin Kingdom. And it also has entrances and exits to all of these other veritable areas throughout itself, which I think is so nifty. I think it's so damn nifty. Give me 1 second to do social media stuff right here. Hold on. Are covered. Hashtag Unpass. Hashtag Tony Chopper. Hashtag Paxi. And then we'll do some ats, even though we probably shouldn't do ats. I hope it's not annoying people, man. I really, really hope it's not annoying people. But again, I'm not sure how any of this stuff works, if I'm being honestly honest about it. And so I think that's a very fun way to approach a possible second Labyrinth movie, because you get to open up the structure of it, and you could do a movie, you could do a series depending on how you want to do it, and then you could have that fun aspect of how do the 3 parties, how do they differ in their interaction with the labyrinth? What is their actual motivation to be going after their stolen baby, their stolen child? How then are the princes then going against themselves? Like, could you do something with that Ed Sheeran, that you could do a Louis Capaldi prince, very, very nice, very wholesome kind of dude. Like, maybe his whole gambit is that his baby is so easily recovered that one party is done before the series even, like, gets halfway through, or before the movie even gets halfway through. He's already out of the bid. Like, he didn't need to be part of the bid. He just needed to be part of it. And then you could have him in some ways trying to assist while also trying to not be caught by his other brothers. You could have, again, that fun rivalry where maybe one brother doesn't even notice that the other brother is really against him the whole time. Or there's the aspect of, you are my enemy, but I never let on that you are my enemy. You could have so much fun with a secondary labyrinth. And of course, again, I'm excessively biased in that I love Labyrinth. I love the idea of practical things and Muppets and making the fantastical a reality without, and I'll reaffirm after I say that, without the use of heavy CGI. And so I will reaffirm, there's nothing bad about CGI. There's nothing, it just doesn't, and I don't even want to say what I'm going to say, but I have to say it. The part about CGI that I never really could go entirely on is there is a falsity to it. Now, I say that, and Labyrinth is I think it's a very important step in CGI because of the feather scene in the beginning of the movie. Now, and like that just popped into my mind. I totally forgot about that. But that feather scene is very, very important in the steps for CGI getting to where it was getting to. If I'm correct, I could be I could be wrong in all facets of that. But God, wouldn't it be so cool seeing characters again, bringing back Hoggle, bringing back, oh God, what's his name? Ludo. Oh, Ludo. And of course, I want to see some of the funnier Muppets get brought back. The fire dancers are ones that I have rewatched. I believe it's the fire dancers. It's the red puppets where all of their body parts start to like detach from themselves. I love that. And if you haven't ever watched the behind the scenes for Labyrinth, and it's not something that would ruin the movie for you, because I assume there's some cats out there who, if you watch the behind the scenes, it absolutely ruins the movie, because then all the magic is gone. For me, I love seeing the behind the scenes, but watching the behind the scenes of... Is it the fire dancers? Am I just applying the word fire and dancers because they were dancing and that they were red? Come on now. And I beg your pardon as I now slowly shut up. Labyrinth. Fire. The Fire Gang. The Fire Gang. Oh my God. The Fire Gang is so cool, and the behind the scenes of the Fire Gang is even cooler because it was a puppet that was manipulated by 3 to 4 individuals from what I see, and there are moments where they just have to take their part of the body and go somewhere else. But then, so it's like you take the arm, but then you come right back. And they had a really cool, nifty way of doing it because they had that big black velvet and everyone was draped in black velvet, and then they shot it in the actual swamp kind of setting as well. Oh, it's so nifty, man. It is the coolest damn thing ever. I love it so much. I absolutely love it so much. But man, you could have so much fun. I guess what I was just trying to say is that you could have an absolute hoot, an absolute blast with a secondary Labyrinth. And with that, we have talked ourselves all the way through the process of, once again, another part to our puppet. Is that not sticking in better now? It should stick in a lot better. Interesting. Well, at least that's in there better. At least that's in there better. Yes, I'm happy with that. Oh, okay, what I was doing. Ow. I just wanted to show our final foof covering. I think it's pretty nifty. I think it pretty nifty. Okay, now comes that fun. Well, you know what? While I have him here, let's do some surgery. Is this centered in the way that we want to? Okay, so our zipper is not centered. That's why it looks weird. So that's there. That's there. If we zip them up, that's more. That should be more back there. And I'm pretty sure once we fill it out, it should be pretty good. Maybe we do that first. Maybe we do some fill first. So this is where our QD mount is. So I'm just going to make myself a small little cut. Where are my textiles? There we go. So there. Do I have my chalk about? Could have swore I saw it recently. Did I put it on top of here and then I put this on top of that? Yep. And I want to make sure I don't lose our chin guard. Okay. So that's where that all is. That's where that all is. I'm actually going to zip this back up so I have a better reference. This is where the QD point is. Goodness me, I am just belchy today. I apologize. I apologize. Okay, we got ourselves a nice little area now that our QD can mount up into. When I come back to this area, we'll throw some thread around it, just hand stitch kind of wise. Do I do that now? Do I do some hand stitching now? Because really all I want to do is I just want to do, oh, it's going to take a second, ain't it? Is that necessary? It's not really necessary, no. We could almost even go as far, and of course I already unplugged it. You know what, we'll leave it like that for now. I was going to say, one, I could go through and I could do a wrap stitch all the way around. Basically, like if you look at your, like the button on your pants or a button on anything, you have the stitch. It has this, the thread wrapped around it to add a structure to the hole because something has to go in and out of it so often. I don't know if this is necessary on this one though. But. Where's our QD? QD is right here. Oh, did I want to? It doesn't need to be. I was going to change the orientation of our mount, but I don't think that's terribly necessary. Not terribly so. Ooh, sorry, boy. Come back here. You're all limp-limbed, my friend. There are areas on our legs that need to be readdressed. A part of me thinks it is inevitable that we will have to take the whole fursuit off again. And luckily we have our zipper on there to make it easy. Luckily we have our magnets to make that easy for us. But there are places that need to be retouched up, restitched together. There still is the aspect that I feel would be nice to have. It's not necessary, but it'd be nice to have a kind of extra fur lining to lend itself. How do I explain this? I'm not explaining it well. An extra fur cuff or inner cuff that lends itself to the fur texture in between the arm and the hand. Again, I don't think that matters. The only issue right now that I have is that the sleeve is a little bit... It looks too sleeve-y at the moment. And I don't want to frill up the whole arm by cutting into that. I'd much rather have something underneath that would act as a secondary backing, if you will. So instead of it being attached to the hand, instead of it being attached to the cuff of our fursuit, you would have it actually attached probably on here. And that would also be of good benefit because right now, depending on the angle, you can still see the wood. You can still see the fluff. So having that extra bit would be nice because it would be on there. It would not be part of the hand, because if it was part of the hand, then it would move. And if it was part of the arm, then it would have to come off every time, and then that would defeat the purpose because then it wouldn't actually be attached to this area. Having it attached to that area means that this all can slide off, this can come off, but it remains solid there. A possibility to be had. A possibility to be had. Once again, did I not take that second picture? I don't want a picture of me. One second. Let me do media stuff once more. Once more, I'll do media stuff. We're gonna do a double post on this one because it's the same damn thing. Do it like that. Did you just delete it? Why are you deleting stuff, friend? So if I want first, it has to be this to this, like that? How strange. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh! I have enough of your damn bites. QD, what WD? QD, swivel, hashtag Netflix, hashtag, goodness me, I hate bug. I don't hate bugs. I think bugs are quite nifty. I hate mosquitoes. Oh, and I'm itching myself. Oh, I don't mean to yell into the microphone, but oh, the ire I feel for these small gnats. They're stealing my blood, folks. How dare they? They didn't even ask. At und peace. At get lost. At, you know, we'll just do that. Come on, James. You're all scatterbrained right now. You're all scatterbrained. You're all scatterbrained, which is funny because I actually had myself a really good beginning of the day. Like, obviously, I had to go do all of my errands. I went and I picked up magnets. We got the hot glue. But I also went and I did something fun for myself that was absolutely not really part of the project, and it was very, very much a very me thing. I was talking to my pops about my real love of James Joyce, and particularly Joyce's Ulysses. It is a very long, verbose, some say unnecessarily complicated. Well, it's not his most complicated novel, obviously. Finnegan's Wake is Joyce's most complicated novel. But there are some very hard parts to get through. And personally, I've only read the first 2, maybe 3 chapters of Ulysses. And unfortunately, the book that I bought, and I don't know if I didn't see it, I don't know if I just got screwed over by a bad posting on Amazon, but the book doesn't have all of Ulysses in it. And I should have actually known when I got it, when the book itself was like that thin. And if you know anything about Ulysses, Ulysses is definitely not it's not short. It's not short, and the book itself is a very large tome from what I've seen after realizing that I had myself a heavily redacted, or I don't know, a part 1. Why you would separate Ulysses up into parts like that, I don't know why, but I have, however, listened all the way through Ulysses while I was delivering liquor, and wow, what a book. What a book. There are parts to it that, like, you're sitting there and you're listening to it and you're like, damn, why am I listening to it? And there will be some connecting tissue, there will be some facet to every part of Ulysses that always makes you stop and be like, well, I gotta keep going now, can't stop now. And it's an arduous, hard, like, even to listen to, and even to read those first few chapters, like, I had to reread so many times certain parts of it to kind of understand what was happening, because the great part about Ulysses is that Joyce uses different techniques, different writing styles, different formations of thought in each section of the story. Now, I can go into farther aspects of Ulysses. It's a fantastic, I shouldn't say that, it is a book. And if you are ready to read it, or if you would like to try to read it, or even listen to it, I suggest listening to it first, because I do plan to still read it. But listening to it is probably a better start point than trying to read it. What was I talking about? Because I was talking about that because my dad mentioned that at the UT campus, they have a there's a museum called the Harry Ransom Museum or the Harry Ransom Gallery. One of the two. Again, choices are yours. And it's a nice little display of literature, theater, and then poetry. And what was the impetus for it, or the impetus for me wanting to go, is that my dad said that they had drafts of Ulysses there, and that got me so stoked. I was like, no way, I have to go check these out. Turns out you have to fill out a whole bunch of research material to be able to go and actually view or even get close to these things. I didn't do that. I wasn't prepared for that. But what I was treated to instead was one of the, and again, very, very interesting to me. It might not be interesting to most, or some. It might not be interesting to you. But there are the first major section of that area is just old books. Very old books, superiorly old books, handwritten tomes. They have a Gutenberg Bible there. And then one thing that I literally went back to its section 5 times. Like, I would go and I would finish reading all of the blurbs and taking all of my pictures of all the other tomes, because there was beautiful letterpress. There was beautiful woodcut art. There was beautiful hand-done art. Hand-done letters, hand-done inscriptions. There's all those really funny characterizations of people that you had in in those olden times, where you're kind of like, why does everyone look like a scorned potato? It is a very funny illustration style that was just prevalent for a long time. So I took pictures on pictures, but I went back to a particular section 5 times, and that particular section was the Shakespeare folio section. They have two Shakespeare folios. And I'm a theater nerd. To even say it. Like, and to top that, I'm a Shakespeare nerd to add to it. And I had to keep going back and just sitting there smiling at the damn book. I'm literally smiling at a book because of how much the bard's work means to me. And it should. It should. There was a point in my life where I was kind of like, Shakespeare, why? And as I became more mature as an artist, as an actor, as a person that really likes to dig in and get that meat of something, Shakespeare really damn did it well, man. He really damn did it well. And to a point that I would say that Shakespeare damn near hit every genre that a person can think of before it was something that we even put out. He did fantastical fiction in The Tempest. He did historical, you don't want to call it like historical revisionism, but he did a historical drama in King Richard. He did... I believe it is, but some might not. Some will just put it in the same camp as The Tempest. But I believe Midsummer's Night Dream is an absolute beautiful piece of absurdist theater before the concept of absurdist theater was a thing. And it really is tied together in the best and most beautiful way in how it is finished by Puck, with him saying, and I'm going to butcher it, but basically, like, if we have offended, all is well, because it is all done. It is just what has occurred, and that is about it. He has played to the idea of the artist with different parts of the monologues. He's played at the idea of not only what... And like, we can categorize Romeo and Juliet as a true love story, but in my mind, it is a love story based around the fact that it is a forced, unnecessary love, because they might not actually love each other, but because of their parents' vehement hate for each other, the Capulets and the Montagues' just adamant loathing of one another drove these two together, and it made them absolutely inseparable. And it's a beautiful, beautiful tale with many just grand speeches. And a part of me there, when I was at the Harry Morris Museum, and I don't know if it's something they can do. I don't even know if it's something like, if you apply for like research privileges, if it's something that they do. But I would write letters if I need to. I would petition whoever I need to. Take a credit if I have to. I would find a way, some class that would allow me to take a credit if they needed me to take some credit at the campus. Because I would love just to have them, like, they can do it for me. Of course they would have to do it for me. They're not going to let me touch the damn folio. But I would love to see a few very important speeches. I would love, of course, to see the Queen Mab speech in Romeo and Juliet. That's an absolute banger of a speech. I would love to see the Borachio speech. I would love to see the Philo introduction in Antony and Cleopatra. I would love to see the Shylock monologue that I've done. I would love to see the Friar monologue in Romeo and Juliet. I would like to see Tomorrow and Tomorrow in the Scottish play. Oh, goodness, of course, you wouldn't be able to not to do To Be or Not to Be. You'd have to want to see that one. I would love, oh my God, and I didn't even get to it. So Shakespeare himself wrote a Tarantino-esque gore fest of absolute revenge, and he wrote it in a way that he has characters such as Aaron, who is a Moor in there, and some people say that he was poking at the idea of Aaron being a Moor and being in some ways duplicitous. I see Aaron in Titus Andronicus as one of the only smart characters that isn't blinded by this idea of wanting to rule. He knows that, at least in his time, he has a place that he is never going to ascend to. And so he is going to do everything that he can do to never descend to where he has gotten himself to. And Aaron himself is a great character, because in Titus Andronicus, when things get real sticky, he's finally like, you know what? I'm gone. and he just leaves. He's just out of the show because he's just like, nah, man, this is about to get bad. This is about to get real bad, because not only are they poking the bear in that of Titus, but he cannot really control that of Tamara's children, these ravenous, I'd call them savages, but not to use the word savages in a non good context, forever how you would say it, but the characters are just horrible, these two brothers, absolutely horrible. But again, going back to, if I had the ability to ask them to show me another speech, there is a speech that I would refer to as only come Lavinia, and it is such a good speech, man. It is such a good speech, because it is a father that has reached not only his ends wit, but he is finally getting his revenge. And not only is he getting his revenge, but he's about to get his revenge in multiple ways. And first, he is going to tell these two brothers how he is going to get his revenge before he kills them. I know. Spoilers for Titus Andronicus. It's a very new show. Julie Taymor's Titus with Anthony Hopkins. You need to see it. Julie Taymor's The Tempest. It didn't get the same recognition. I think it's... You got Russell Brand as Trinculo. You got Julie Andrews? Judi Dench. You got Judi Dench as Prospero. What a gender bend right there. That is I'm not usually for a gender bend. I'm kind of more a purist when it comes to certain kind of material. But man, Dame Judi Dench knocked it out of just right out of the park with that one. Oh. But there were many other aspects to that museum that I absolutely loved. I ended up staying in that old book section for a lot longer than I initially wanted to. And then as soon as I got to the next section, I was like, oh, I wish I could spend more time in here, because it was visual poetry that's not usually distributed, because you can't ingest it in the same way as you would a normal poem. You have to sit there and you have to not only look at what is being written with the words, but you have to see the picture that those words form. And that was one of its own sections. And then, of course, me being the damn theater nerd that I am, I get into the next section, and it is all these conceptual scene ideas for stage. It has certain, for whatever that concept was for that stage show that they were putting on. They also then had cuts from the show. They also had pictures from said show so that you could see the concept of the stage design on the board, or it would be a watercolor, or it would be a rendering, or there were a few dioramas. There were a few dioramas of actually how the stage would be set, so that you really felt the depth of where certain set pieces were. Oh, and these were beautiful, folks. These were absolutely beautiful. And as I'm speeding through, because I have a parking timer that's still clicking on, and I spent most of my time in the old book section, so I'm flying through the theater section, and I see it out the corner of my eye, and just by, I don't see what the show is, I don't see the actual performance shots, I just see the concept, and before I even can look, I'm like Fiddler on the Roof. Oh my gosh, it was so viscerally Fiddler on the Roof that it was. If you have a chance and you're ever in Austin, Texas, and you love literature, old books, poetry, theater, please do yourself justice and go to the Harry Ransom Museum display, whatever it's called. But before I put the mask on, I will end it with, because the reason I went there was for James Joyce's Ulysses, but I forgot about James, the reason I got there, because I got so enthralled in everything else. And so I'm leaving and I ask about it, and that's when they break the news to me. That's when they say, oh yes, you have to do all of this extra bit before you can even get close. And I was like, darn. But as I'm walking out, there is this line on each side of the entrance area that I completely missed, of just busts of artists, of authors, and they're beautiful busts. They're all in different material. They're all in different levels of artistic design. And I see him, man. I see him, and I could have seen him from across the room, but it was one of those moments where I'm kind of like moving, and then I look up, and the bust is looking right at me, and it's James Joyce. And that's all I needed to make the rest of that trip absolutely worth it. And I was so happy to have done that. I was so happy that that was part of my day today. So this is where I leave you speechless, at least on my half. I'm going to turn off my microphone. I'm going to put on my mask, and I'm going to begin the... Oh my God! I'm going to begin the process that is the shaving down of our... I guess I'm not worried. I'm okay if this gets a little bit guffed. I want to move these all as far over as I possibly can so that they don't get covered in pink dust. I'm going to move this, all the cloth, because that will, oh my God, that will attract it right away. All of these pieces will move the whole sewing machine over to here. And again, I got so much room now over here. I just feel so in abundance of space. I'm just so happy with all the space that I have right now, man. I wish I had done it right off the damned bat instead of waiting until yesterday too. Okay. All of this is going over here. This is not really going to be useful. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get folders. Oh, no. I think we should be okay. I'm going to move our scissors over here as well. I don't remember where I put my Sharpie. And I feel like that Sharpie might come in real handy here soon. But maybe not. You know what's funny? Well, I shouldn't turn it on now because I'm going to be blowing my ears out with the palm sander, which makes me remember that I probably should wear some earplugs. So I'm going to throw my earplugs in, and then I will be turning off the mic, and we will begin. Oh my God. It was such a fun experience today to go do that, and it's something that I should be doing more often. Like, I love this project. This project feels as if it's something, and it's going to sound weird for those that don't know, but it's something I need to do. Without the termination of the final results, I needed to stick to an idea and follow it through in this way, because I finally had the opportunity, and this idea is just too damn nifty. Too damn nifty to even think about putting down. Okay, all of that can go over there, all of that can go over there. That goes there. I'm going to take a sasp of water and cola before we begin again. Oh, lovely days. That's good water. That is good water. So the first step, I think I'm going to smooth the brim. I'm going to smooth the brim. We're going to then round out, well, oval out the top because we made ourselves a rectangle instead. There's my Sharpie. There's my Sharpie. And then once we get our crown figured out, we will then move on to our lower portion. And we'll basically match what we have on the crown first as we move ourselves down. And then once we're done with the crown, well, once we're done with actual uniform shaping there, that is when I'll start to add our slight bevel in. Oh, goodness me, again, my apologies. It's just gross. It's just gross. I will see you when the mask eventually comes off. Well, I'll see you. I will speak to you when the mask eventually comes off. Back active? Okay, I'm back on. Okay. So I got a cut right now. Fortunately, we didn't get as far as I wanted to in the hat, but look at that. We're getting to that aspect, I feel. Again, it might be a bit too big when it comes down to it, but we won't know until we actually get it on top of the head. So we got to do another day of hat stuff, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it. God, I'm excited how this is looking. So, first and foremost, let me do my picture here. What's the best side for this? They all kind of look the same. Probably get that in back because that's the side that isn't really done yet. Okay, we will send this out on the old Gramzo. Oh me, oh goodness me. I kinda wish I would have gotten more. I think I got myself talking too much today, and that put us a bit behind. But, sorry, I didn't mean to blow in the microphone there. I did it again, silly me. We're definitely going to be able to finish this tomorrow. Definitely going to be able to finish the form tomorrow. Because we just got one more side that really needs a lot of addressing. But besides that, oh God, I'm excited. We're going to come back in the evening. And we're going to keep at it with we're going to do more cowl work, I think. Because I can't, I could sit here and hand sand. Maybe that will be a good idea. I don't know. We'll figure it out when I get back. But I am going to come back and do a part 2, 3. I'm going to vacuum up here. And then we'll put the pin in it. That's a good start. We shouldn't go too heavy on our vacuuming because we will eventually we're gonna create more damn dust. Let me get these ears out of myself here. Ugh. I hate that inner head kind of sound that they leave you in. So I'm gonna Mr. Roger these shoes. Oh God, there's so much dust in there. Okay. Day 16. 16 days. Oh my God. I know. I'm like, anytime I say the number of the day, I always sound so excited. But, man, I don't know how to explain this better than if you've ever had an idea, like a real idea that you just couldn't push out your mind. And maybe you started it, or you wanted to start it, and maybe you make it 2 days in, maybe you make it 5 days in, and I'm just speaking from my own experience here. And then you take a break, then you might come back, and then you might take another break, and then slowly and surely it all kind of fades. Whether that's the idea dying, or that's your spirit not being there for it, or just self-doubt. And I hated that. I hated that so much. about myself that even the attempt, even the try to begin another new idea put just the fear in me. Because why start if I know in some ways after 3, 5 days I might stop? But we're 16 days in, ladies and gentlemen. 16 days in, and I don't even have a reflex. I don't even have a simpering thought that I'm going to even kind of be stopping. So, we're coming back for a part 2, 3. I can't say we're in the books just yet, but day 16, practical approach to Tony Chopper. A little bit of Mad Hatter. One last deer pedicure. And we on it, folks. I thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a good evening. I hope you have a grand old day. And if, wherever you are, it is something else, and you're experiencing what you're experiencing, whatever that may be, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can get past it. And I leave you. Peace. Okay. Damn mosquito.